Hello, friends, and welcome to this podcast. I'm going to talk about music, like always. I like to bring up every so often a musician that may have sort of gone under the radar for some people, but who is definitely worth exploring. One of those people is Julian Cope. I know maybe you've heard of Julian Cope. He had there was some attention in the 80s to him. He used to play in a band called the Teardrop Explodes, which was a fantastic 80s post-punk, not quite new wave. I don't know how to describe them, but they were sort of in the realms of Echo and the Bunnymen and The Cure in those days. But Teardrop Explodes had other kinds of instrumentation, and Julian Cope's voice was always kind of an interesting component of that band. And then Julian Cope went on to do some solo albums, which I think are fantastic. The first one was called World, Shut Your Mouth. And that's Julian Cope right there. This is a pretty great album. It is a really ambitious record. It's got so many different sounds on here and types of music. It is what I like to call Baroque or chamber pop in some ways, because there are influences on here from traditional music, English traditional type music, traditional styles, sounds, instrumentation. But there's also kind of a classical, also sort of a classical vibe to it in a certain way. This is a really fun album to explore. It goes, it goes from here to there. It's almost like a film, like you're being told a story with these songs, and so many different movements and sections and parts. And yet it's very poppy. There's some great pop songs on there, and I really like that album. I really like his solo albums, and he's still out there, and he is out there in the best sense of the word. He's one of those musicians who seems to actually live the life that of what you assume a lot of times when you see pop bands or pop performers, that they are playing a character on the stage. Like, you don't really believe that the guys in Kiss are from other planets or demons or whatever, spirits of love or whatever. That they're real guys under that makeup, and you kind of accept that, but some part of you kind of wants it to be true, and you go and you're like, yeah, I love the Star Child and the Demon, but there are other pop groups and other bands, a lot of bands throughout history that you can look at and say, unfortunately, the members of the band actually are what they seem to be on stage, which sometimes is not great. But with Julian Cope, he is an outrageous personality. He's kind of in some ways, it reminds me of Salvador Dali in his approach to pop music. He is unpredictable, and you never know what is going to come out of him when he releases a solo album or when he does a performance. If you look him up on YouTube, you'll find some videos that you may like or you may not like, because he's either doing this or he's doing that. You know what I mean? He's never doing the same thing. Unexpected. But within this persona, this sort of strange, surrealistic persona that he has, is an incredibly intelligent, very well-read scholar of many things. He's written incredible books about music. He's written about German pop music and Japanese pop music. He's also written books about English history. Primarily, I think, I don't know what, I haven't read any of the most recent things that he's written, but he's written some pretty scholarly things about standing stones, like Stonehenge. But there's more than Stonehenge. There's a bunch of other ones, and he's done a lot of research on them. And his research is interesting. It goes into historical facts, but it also goes into the spirituality of these things. And he explores it from from a different angle than what a lot of other scholars might do. I'll leave it there. I mean, it's definitely worth reading his work. Very fascinating. But his music is similarly out there and unexpectedly different each time. He doesn't do things the way other pop stars do things. He doesn't continue doing the same stuff, you know, like some bands do throughout their career. He explores and experiments. And I highly recommend exploring the work of Julian Cope. But I think the best way to do it is to start with Teardrop Explodes, which you may already be familiar with. But start there, because that I don't want to say mainstream, but that's a more what you might expect from a band from that time, pushed a little bit into another realm, which is really interesting. And then his solo albums start with this one that I just showed you, World Shut Your Mouth, and then go on to the next one and the next one, and you will go with Julian Cope on a fantastic journey. And I think you'll become a fan. I really follow much of what he does musically. Sometimes there's things I like more than other things. There's albums that I've listened to maybe once and I'm like, okay, that was an experiment. Didn't really hit me the right way. But other times he'll come out with something and I'm like, wow, this is another incredible thing. So Julian Cope, I recommend him. It's an interesting journey to go on with him. I think maybe you'll appreciate it. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me here, and I will talk to you again real soon.